And we're
Here we
live,
are.
baby.
All righty. So John said he would be here just a little after 6. He was finishing a print.
Yep.
And he wants to bring it to show it off a little bit. It's one of the blades. I guess you already got that update, right, Drew?
Yep. It is one of the blades for the rotary sub.
Yeah, the roto sub looks pretty gnar. I was like, God, man, that's a lot of motor to go with that 6.5-inch motor. But he's like, that's an appropriate ratio of electric motor to drive that thing compared to the subwoofer motor.
Mm-hmm.
You take my vitamins. My wife got me.
Yeah, he sent a video of like an old one he built or something, like a 12-inch maybe. It was like flexing his house.
Oh, it was wild. Like at a super low level, it was audible, ultra low, very smooth. Low frequency in the low teens, and outside of his house, his fucking rain gutter was like, and it was fucking so gnarly, and it was like at like a double resonance. It wasn't tapping at the frequency that the driver was playing. It was like double tapping. He was getting 2 taps to 1 cycle.
That's crazy.
It was fucking crazy.
Yeah, so I was like, all right, so we need to build an 18-inch roto sub with an SDDN motor.
That'll work. Yep. Well, then he was talking about, he's like, well, the way this goes together, we could have multiple coils and multiple motors to have all the power we want.
Unacceptable.
So, yeah. Yep.
Yep.
So Steve is likely to not be in with us.
He might pop in, but
yeah, he's in there. He should go live out there in the shop, and we see what he's putting together. So,
yeah, if he does, he does. If not, it'd be all right. I know he's stressing on that thing.
So I'll tell you a fun little story about something that we fabricated here. Ow, something owie in my nostril. What the fuck? It's like either a zit or maybe like I had a metal sliver or something that made it into my nose hairs and I just hurt myself with it. I don't even know what the fuck happened to me, but I'm dead. But no, the roto subs are not like a Phoenix Gold Cyclone. So I had 2 different sets of the Stevens Audio waveguide horns. And if any of you guys aren't familiar with that and you have gray hair, you'll understand what I'm talking about when I say Image Dynamics waveguide horns, because Eric Stevens was the engineer that made he was part of Image Dynamics back in the 90s, and he was the one that engineered those waveguide horns.
Nice.
So I had 2 different sets here, and when we put hey John, when we were putting the box assembly in the monkey box, I had a bit of space. I had like 4.5 inches above the box to the roof of the monkey box, at the top of the wall, right? And I was like, man, I have an idea. And I went and grabbed one of the waveguides and I tucked it in there and it fit pretty well, just it. But with the big ass motor on it that's like this big around, it didn't fucking fit. Yeah. And I was like, oh, I have another one. I have the other model. There's one that has an underhung and one direct hung. And we tried both and they didn't really fucking fit. And John here says, oh, you could just fabricate it. You can make it out of wood and you just make like a bent panel and you just make the throat assembly and just do a little bit of math and get it pretty close to that. And that'll be fucking fantastic, especially for this application. And so I was like, well, I don't really like the idea of just making a fucking arced fucking thing. But so I 3-dimensionally designed the waveguides in a like one piece. Both of them are in it. And then I sliced it and turned it into stack fab ply and then split the parts.
I haven't even seen it.
3-dimensionally machined it. And I did this shit. I designed all of it in about an hour and a half, handed it off to Anthony. Anthony did drill points and tool paths in another hour or so. It took like 4.5 hours to machine the parts. But And then Anthony and Zach assembled everything today and stained it. And now all the parts are ready. They can't be put together final until after they get clear coat because the way they're so dense. So then we'll get them to the cabinet shop tomorrow along with the roof piece that'll match the inside of the box and the rear part of the enclosure. Where are you headed? Is it open over there? Oh, get some of the car.
I forgot my balls.
Oh, well, okay. So anyway, they're fucking sexy, and I will when we get done here, or maybe even when John is talking, I will jump up and go and snap a bunch of photos and maybe some videos of those components to show you guys.
That'd be sick.
It's fucking dope. You guys will really like it a lot. It was fun. It was like sometimes John here can be the catalyst of some wild shit. These are.
So this is PL carbon fiber, and then the other one is PET carbon fiber in the black, 100% fill. The other one's 50%. The maroon one's 50.
Am I tripping? Okay. For a second, I was like, am I seeing light through this? But the reflection of the inside looked really weird.
Oh, yeah, they're transparent aluminum.
Yeah, it's like fucking Star Trek 4.
So do you have a drawing of the drawings of the assembly of the horns?
Dude, these are cool looking.
So those are just cast pieces.
There we are. I did the fuzzy print of one of our.
Oh, you did it with fuzzy?
Yeah, with one of our 8-inch baskets of the Gately basket. So,
oh, dude, that looks really cool because now you don't see the lines.
So
I printed a dog.
Very similar. That you made a dog. You look a little doggy ghost.
Yeah,
looks like a ghost dog. So similar to those were the USD waveguides. Image Dynamics later, after USD, made waveguides. These shirts are available at gatelyaudio.com. Same with this lovely Carhartt sweater that John Nolte is wearing, and many other fancy products that we have at gatelyaudio.com. Absolutely not. No. Nope. 3/4 inch, I would say. 1/2 inch is good if you're talking about like a 200 watt sub and that window is smaller than 12 by 12. But yeah, little too thin.
This is a
This is a John question.
This is a John question.
Yeah.
Also make a subsonic driver as a compression driver.
When you say subsonic, do you mean that it plays sounds that are slower than the speed of sound?
You're talking about not subsonic.
Infrasonic.
Infrasonic.
That's what he means. Ooh.
That's how
no bang.
So,
I thought we were gonna have the lights out for a second. There was a big skid outside, and you guys know we've had it happen a couple times where fucking I was like bang, and I'm all my power's gonna go out, and it's so we would lose this and everything, and I'd have to jump on my phone.
So Bobby, just in case someone pops in, I did send the link to Matt and Jeffrey if they want to pop in to talk about the weekend.
Oh, good. Yeah, absolutely. Steve's working on the truck. We should send a message to Steve and tell him to go live from the fucking garage.
Yeah, right. Did he get the connectors from Amazon today? He lost.
He said he did. I would expect he did.
He had one last one to do. I want to see them all in there.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so incomplete, even though it's so close. So Larry H, when you see these builds like I do that have a bunch of speakers in the pillars, it's not like it's a sound quality thing. It's like so that you can actually hear the fucking sound. So in a lot of SQ builds, you'll put, a 3-inch and a tweeter. Sometimes guys will get a little overachiever and they'll put a little 4-inch and a tweeter. And that works out really well to bring the stage up and make it a little more full and have less obstructions and reflections. Even though the windshield is a big, massive, horrific reflection, but sometimes you can kind of work with it on purpose. But yes, the DSP saves the day always.
Yeah, so you wanted the speakers, you still want the stage to be far from you. Like, that's still the goal, but
if you can, yeah.
you were using before DSP, before such tuning things. You would have to physically get the speakers to be equal path length from your face. You couldn't do it with delay and things, so you would have to physically push the speakers as far back as you can. Now you can put the speaker a lot closer and just delay that speaker and get the same general effect of a deep stage and like everything across the hood and whatnot.
What do you got new, Drew? Before we push John in here and
not much, nothing. I didn't get home till like Saturday morning, 8 a.m.
When did you get home?
Tuesday morning, 8 a.m.
Okay, not bad. What did you do on Monday?
Drove back to Vegas. That's kind of it. I slept during the morning. That's about it. Hung out with Price and whatnot for a little while.
Okay, good deal. You said you were going to try to pop into a couple of places before you left.
I didn't. I ended up sleeping.
Good.
Trying to sleep at least.
Yeah. Drew is not attending SEMA.
Nope. I
told Steve I would bring my Macs, and what I figure we'll do is I'll just go through and get everything kind of set up, or you can actually send me the little base setup that you want, and I'll run through the system, and then maybe we'll just circle back and get you on a live to just double check anything that you think I may have fucking missed or anything with regards to tuning Steve's audio system. So
for sure. No, we'll be able to get it taken care of.
Yeah. I'm confident I can get through it, no problem, but it'd be great to have you go over it and be like, hey, this is a really good fail safe here and there to prevent anything funny from happening and take it from there. It should be good to
go. The more eyes on it, the better.
Yes, absolutely.
That's crazy.
What you got?
Just noticing, I've been noticing this with this carbon fiber stuff. A little bit with this one, but this one has like a lot more carbon fiber in it. And it actually is cooler, like how the dust caps and the cones.
Yeah.
Like if you compare, like if you touch this and then you touch this is cold. You can feel there's coldness to it.
Yeah, it's almost like you feel it drawing your temperature out of you more than it is the.
Yeah, it's weird. And when I have them sitting on my table, I have a metal table. The metal table, it actually gets a lot cool. It like transmits the coolness.
Yeah, or I bet if something's warm.
So when the speakers are in those, they'll
they'll draw heat off.
Well, yeah, because it's a sealed enclosure, and so if the voice coil is producing heat, the impedance will go up. So if the enclosure becomes a heat sink, they'll actually absorb and lower the impedance.
So you got to put heat sink fins on the outside of these now.
Right. Mark, that is the traditional way to go about it. Put everything as on axis as you can. There's a lot of other ways to go about it these days that work very well, including like my truck, Jeffrey's car. Everything off axis for the most part. Mid range is kind of aimed towards us a little bit, but mine are like up towards the roof, and then my tweeters are just completely aiming away from me.
I think what that gives us frequently is the ability to play it louder without any like wild beaming effects of any of the drivers being on axis being too much. Right. Like, I feel like when I built those fillers that I had in my truck that are now in Eric's truck that are super on axis. They're like pointing right at you. And when I was running a lot of power to those speakers, when I'd really give it the fucking business, I find myself like looking at the speakers like, man, fuck you. Like that's a lot.
That's what you're probably hearing is you're hearing the reflection increase off of the window, and it's pulling your attention towards that speaker.
I definitely found shit years ago that not just because my subwoofers sound louder with my windows open, but my highs and mids always sounded better. And I used to not be able to explain that. But the fucking reflections I could just take two big shitty reflections right out of the whole fucking equation if I just roll those fucking windows down.
Yeah.
Actually, standing waves.
Yeah.
Multiplying.
Yeah. And like, so, you put like my truck or Jeffrey's car, tweeters off axis, mid range is off axis. Instead of fighting that initial reflection, which is reflections are the bane of car existence in cars. It's a part of the tuning process to integrate that as much as you can, so you don't have to fight it. And I feel it gives a more a larger presence to it, to the rooms, having that reflection.
Imagine how dangerous a Neo round ball like this.
They have speakers that have that motor just like that. It's a Neo cylinder or ball. Yeah. Because it's
imagine like I was working on this speaker over here, and
it rolls. Oh God! Smashes your finger.
Rolls and finds another one over there. It's all fucking missile. Oh my gosh!
See sparks.
Fucking
pieces.
Grenade.
Yeah. So how did you go blind in that one eye?
Thing sticking out of your head.
Oh my goodness.
Okay. Anyway, so what is this? It's brutal. Who's base dad?
I don't know.
Sheesh.
Aggressive.
I don't understand what you guys are talking about here. What is this? What drama did we miss while we were working on shit in our little world? So you got some Roto Sub news? What you got?
Well, I was gonna bring one of the blades, but it wasn't I did it kind of thin, and so if I pull that off too early, it'll cause warpage.
Warp, yes.
And I did it at 1/8 of an inch, and I thought I did it at 1/4. But I did it at 1/8 with honeycomb internals.
Okay.
So when I get home, I'm going to see how strong it is. If I can keep it at 1/8 of an inch, dude, that's like half the weight.
Right.
And then I haven't, Drew, I haven't weighed it yet to compare it for how many grams the 3D print says to what it's going to be on the scale. But that'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, I'm definitely curious.
See how far off the bamboo is on that. So, but yeah, tonight when I get done from here, I'll pull it off and hopefully it comes off the build plate, because this stuff, Bobby, sticks on the gold plate, the texture plate so much that the whole thing is like this big and it's flat on the whole plate. So it's going to be interesting to see if it comes off. If not, I'll just buy another plate.
Right. If it's just there forever. You're like, oh, put that on the wall. It looks like an art.
Yeah.
It's a piece of art. It's just stuck to the fucking thing forever.
Or every single one of my rotor blades will have one gold side. I'll just cut it out.
You're like,
Roto Sub stuff. Have stuff that's coming. I had to order a bunch of stuff, bearings and stuff to fit inside the 6.5.
So
piece.
This is a good idea. Jerry asks a very good question here. Why don't we have you tell your car audio story? And while you give them the. I mean, when we did the first series of shows, like we had me and we had Drew and we had Steve, and then we've had a few other guests on tell their whole ass story. A lot of the stories are a lot shorter than yours and mine. But if you want to, jump through, give these guys a little rundown of what you do. Also, definitely mention a little bit of your history of the work you do, working with lasers and MRIs and things of that nature, so that they understand, how much of a hyper nerd you are.
Larry H says powered for sound.
Yes, sir.
He knows what that is.
Yes, sir. All right, I'm going to run across the lot, and I'm going to get some photos of some of the goodies we're working on in the monkey box, because some of it's super fucking cool. And I'll turn John here loose for a bit, and don't all finish without me.
We'll be here.
I want to just steal your seat.
Yeah, go ahead.
And then when you come back, we can switch over.
Okay, I'll just sit in lap.
Oh, you can sit on my lap. Yeah, that's perfect. Hey, everyone. All right. Okay, background. I guess I can start off with my.
I was just about to say, tell the people who don't know who you are.
So I'm John Nolte. That's who I am.
And that's all y'all need to know.
Or Mr. Purple Beard or whatever. I mean, yeah, the purple beard came from my daughter. So I can kind of start off with a purple beard really quick. That only happened like I think 2016. My daughter was doing her hair with one of her friends, and my beard's white, and she's like, "Oh, you gotta do your beard purple. So I did. And I was thinking, I'll just shave it off. My work doesn't like it, or, at that time I was working at a laser company, manufacturing lasers, medical lasers. And so I did it purple, and everybody liked it. And I kept it that way. And I went to a show and then did, things on Facebook, and everybody was really liking it. So I just kind of kept it and kind of made,
that's
kind of
how
like,
I've always known you.
yeah. And it basically became something that it kind of sucks because, I could grow this out, or if I shave it, it kind of changes all my logos and nobody knows who I am. So, but that's how that came about. But my background, I guess I started playing with stereo stuff and electronics when I was a kid, probably when I was, 6 or 7. I'd take apart all my toys and stuff. And then kind of going from there, I just loved electronics, made a rail gun in school and my electronics class, and built a whole bunch of other weird, crazy stuff that kind of got me in trouble. Never did all the normal work, but I built stuff and I just knew how to make it work, I guess. After that, in high school, we had to do a senior project. So I took my mom's Isuzu Trooper in 1995 and had 4 kicker comp 12s, and I did a full wall, and did the evolution of car audio. I had to do like a thesis and write so many words and whatever, so you can get your grades, and did that, and that was really fun. And then after that, I kind of got myself into manufacturing lasers. Worked at a company called Coherent. Built the big lasers. Actually, Coherent does like scientific lasers, like lasers that are like 20 feet long. Even the whole room becomes like the power supply and stuff like that. And then one of my friends got a hold of me and said, hey, I worked down the street at a little small medical laser place, and started working there. Actually, all before that, I worked for Linear Power. If anybody knows who Linear Power is, up in Auburn, when when I moved back from Washington State when I was like probably 20, 21. Oh, that's nice. I
So I had 2 people order some today, so I got to.
Is that like a resistor bender? That's what
It's
it
a
looks like.
solder thing.
Oh, a solder holder. I
Yeah.
just ordered a bunch of resistor benders. I don't know. They kind of look like that, and there's different sizes so you can bend the leads.
No,
But anyway,
I make them heavy because I got tired of them. Like you get cheap ones. I had some 3D printed ones that were from someone else that were cheap, and they just slid around everywhere, and I hated it.
Oh yeah. So anyway, I worked for Linear Power for about a year or so. Built some different boxes called center folds, and And then I worked for a little stereo shop for probably about 6 months, and that's when the double shot enclosure came out. Trying to figure out a quarter wave labyrinth design, but that could fit in between the fender wells of like most Hondas and stuff. 33 inches wide, and came from that and built the snail shell and then the double shot enclosure. Started my own company called Powered for Sound up in Grass Valley. Had that for probably about 2 or 3 years, manufacturing speaker boxes. Nothing to Bobby's amounts that he's doing. Every single one that I built was custom built, and for every driver. So like with Bobby's, we could build double shots for his speakers because they would all stay the same, and have those type of boxes. A manufacturer would be so much easier who has their own speakers. But
Bear, I was showing him the 3D printing because he also has a Bamboo Excellency. Thank you.
I love that thing.
Oh, yeah, we talk about 3D printing stuff all the time. Except he's just doing really cool filaments. I need to set my game up. What is a double shot enclosure?
A double shot enclosure. So a double shot enclosure is a servo-tuned quarter wave ported enclosure, and it kind of sounds kind of goofy, but a double shot uses 2 drivers. They're 2 separate distances from the output of the port, so each one has its own independent quarter wave because one has less time for it to reach the output of the port to be at quarter wave, to be in phase. And then there's compression and decompression points inside the box that are kind of like kind of like a 2-stroke motorcycle. There's back pressure inside of it, which lowers the impedance of the enclosure. And what that will do is, obviously it's very musical, but it has a lot of gain. Once the quarter wave, you go past the quarter wave and you start dropping off, the bottom part of the box is a really long tune port. And so that part starts coming in. Most of these boxes you'll cross over, 80 hertz, and you don't want to go any higher than that. If you do that, you'll start having all these harmonics, and Drew knows all about those kind of things. You'll start having seconds and thirds, going across there, and that's not what you really want to have going. So,
I was measuring some stuff today.
Yeah. So like if anybody has ever seen like what a bandpass box does, maybe like a 6th order, you have 2 different tuning points on, like, say, a 6th order. And so you have this plateau that goes across, and if you pull that plateau apart, sometimes you'll get a notch inside of it. So the quarter wave kind of does, the 2 servo drivers kind of do that. And then right where it starts rolling off the quarter wave, it
photos of it
turns into the ported to play the lower frequencies, like in the 20s, like 27 hertz and stuff like that.
Let's see.
What did you hit with that 6.5-inch snail shell?
Oh, from the outside, it looks like a regular.
Which picture do you have?
Sundown Subs 2014. 2/8.
Oh, it looks like a standard ported box if you look at it, but there's gaps inside of it. It's kind of it's not complex, but it is complex. Like if you're off like a quarter of an inch on some of the gaps, or the VB of the box, where the box isn't based off of volume. There is parts of it that are based off of volume because of the compression decompression points, and then the port is also there's a whole bunch of stuff that's happening with the impedance rise and everything, impedance of the box.
So because of the weight, because of how long the waves are and how short.
Yeah, why not 3/4 of a wave? So 3/4 wave and quarter wave are the same thing. So if you look at a sine wave, if you have a 0 line going across and you go up a quarter wave, that's the highest potential voltage. You go back to 0 at a half wave. So if somebody said that I have a half wave box or a full wave box, it'd still be at 0. You'd have no gain. But if you go to 5/8 or 3/4, it's you get more gain. So a 3/4 wave, it's going to be a much larger box, and that's really hard to fit inside of a car. And you'll have different harmonics from that, but I mean you're going to have around the same dB gain that you're going to get the mechanical gain of the enclosure.
Just a lot larger enclosure, and then
it's going to be a lot longer because it's going to be like a third longer.
So I don't know if y'all caught it whenever he was talking about impedance rise. He corrected, just said impedance. That was something that I was having a discussion with the JL guys over the weekend. They were asking me base head questions basically, and they were like, I mentioned that we wire really low on load, 0.33, 0.25, 0.17, like craziness. And they're like, well, why, more power, I get it, but for what? And I was like, well, impedance rise. I was like, well, not really rise, because it's not rise. So if you measure, because their biggest confusion was there is no impedance without power, without movement of some kind.
Reactive. It's a reactive load.
It's a reactive impedance.
So you have to have something moving in a magnetic field or over, ferrous material.
So what we base heads call rise is just going from DCR, which is just, DC resistance, to impedance with reactive impedance. It's not a rise. It is a change. It's not even a change. It's just the reactive impedance beginning, I guess.
It's what the amplifier is going to see. So if there is a rise, like what you're talking about, but you can also get major impedance rise. I'm talking about instead of like a reactive rise out of a hot voice coil. So if you take a 4-ohm voice coil and you hook up an ohms meter to it, and it's not playing, not doing anything, and you're measuring 4 ohms, and I take a heat gun and I start heating up that coil, then impedance is going to go up really high. It's going to go, and then your amplifier is not going to be able to put out full amount of power, or your crossover points are going to change if you don't have electronic crossovers.
Yep. So like that was always when I used to daily 0.25 with the SCV 6000s and 7500s, the nitro, and you had to kind of baby it until the amps and coils got a little warm, and then you could rip into it. And
warm it up, warm your system. Yeah.
Yep. But
Hey,
so
guys.
like their biggest confusion, like they were looking at me like I was crazy because like said it's not impedance until power is applied, and then it's not rise because the impedance is already there.
Just have to clip your system for a few minutes before you
Yep.
can really.
And then because they were asking me because I called it rise, and they were like, "Oh, was it like a power thing? Like as you add power, like the impedance gets higher?" I'm like, "No." I'm like, "It's DCR to switching, then measured it as an impedance." I was like, "But you can have enough power to cause your rise to shift without heat."
If you glue it down or screw it down, it can't rise.
Exactly. That's why like I bolt my enclosures down to trucks.
So okay, where was
There's
I?
no way you told your whole fucking story already.
No, it's tangents. So many. There's
Someone asked about the double shot.
Yeah, so there's the double shot. The snail shell was a single enclosure, and I stopped actually doing that. But the double shot's still a thing. I use that for a lot of home audio stuff. So yeah, so I started building those boxes, and then I got into manufacturing lasers after that. Moved on to after the laser thing, quite recently, probably in 2015, I went to another company and I started doing R&D work. I ran the whole R&D lab for building MRI systems, medical MRI systems. Built and designed, manufactured the transmission coil, the gradients. And those are things that like control an MRI.
Tell them how the MRI takes the measurement.
How it takes the measurement.
Isn't that the one?
Magnets and it
well, no,
ions in your blood.
There's a big magnetic dish, and there's an RF dish that transmits and tilts the water molecule, and that's what looks at it. And then
tilts the water molecule in your body, just so
yeah, just like you have water molecules in your body, and it tilts the water molecule, and that's what we're listening for. And then this is for prostate. The ones that the systems that we work on are for prostate, and so you don't have to go inside of a machine. These can go to doctors' offices and stuff like that. They're also going to be used for like head trauma, stuff like that. Football players going out in the field, they can have these, at the place. So
wow, that's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah. So it's like really quick, even basketball, whatever. It doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah, so like on an on-site MRI to see if like, all right, no, he's fine, or no, he needs to go to the hospital right now.
Yeah, or can he go back in the game, kind of a thing. So because a lot of money involved in that. So
is this not the same one that we were working on in 2016-17 when we made the little probe?
Yeah. So on this MRI machine that I'm working on it has a center bore inside of it, where you would put your butt up against it. I guess that's dish. Imagine a big, basically a 30-inch dish. And
you're on the teach to max that thing out.
Yeah. And so it's like sitting there, and you're sitting in the table and you're putting your butt up against it. And what it does is it will do the scans, and then down through the center there's a robot, and the robot it'll find where there's a grid, and it'll find the spots where it sees cancer, and if it sees anything inside of there, it has needles that can go and take a sample from the spots just live, and they'll take that out, and then the doctors, and you're knocked out when this is happening, which is way better because like right now, they go up through the rectum, and then they'll like basically take a sample, cut it, and you can, in going into your prostate, going through your rectum, you can have infections. Well, with how this is working, you don't have to do that. There's, your skin, it just has a needle going through that way, and so it's much cleaner, safer. And these things are actually working really, really well. They've already saved quite a few lives out there. So
man,
quite a few
I'll tell you, that's got to feel awesome to know that you're out, you're the stuff you're working on saving lives.
Yeah, well, the first since 2019 to 2021, COVID and all that in between there, I rode the Amtrak from Sacramento to Oakland daily. And so it's 3 hours down and 3 hours back. So I'd, have a 3-hour trip, get there, work for, 6-7 hours, and then have to catch the train because there's only so many, and then get back home, eat food, sleep, go back and forth. And then basically finally after, COVID stuff happened, it was just too difficult. So I started up my own business, Nolte Research and Designs, up
Good
here
name.
in Sacramento. And so now I manufacture and build and test and do R&D work for multiple companies, but mainly this company that I'm working for. So, and then on the side, I'm doing like roto subs and stereo stuff. I'm coming over here helping Bobby, and so there's lots of little things that are on the table. So, yep. So I don't know. That's the really, really, really short version. I mean, like I met Bobby like
back Powered for Sound days.
Yeah, I kind of brought that up when I had the double shot, but we had the two 6.5s that sounded like 15s, and that's how Bobby and I pretty much met. There's actually a video out there on YouTube.
Yeah.
And I went and met I went to Borders and Books with my friend, and we had the GTI, and it had the 2 6.5s, and had this little Kenwood and said 200 watts max on it, and this box was super efficient. And I walked up to this truck because we parked right next to this truck, and this truck was jacked up.
44s.
Yeah, it had 44s on it, and I kind of walked underneath it, and I was like, man, we could have parked the car underneath it. I was kind of, messing with my friend, talking to him about it and kind of giggling. Well, this was Chris's truck, who I didn't know. He was sitting outside because you could hang out at Borders outside, and he goes, you like that truck? And I was like, yeah, dude, that's a really badass truck. And he's like, do you want to check it out? And I'm like, yeah. So he opened up the doors, and that's when
boxes.
And Bobby had an acrylic box inside of it, and my buddy Scott was like, dude, that's Bobby Gately's box. That's the guy I've been talking about that you need to meet. I was like, oh, really? Oh, and so Chris and I were kind of talking and stuff, and I said, hey, do you want to hear something kind of cool? Because what we would do in the GTI is, this is when we had camcorders that you would have to hold and stuff, and we would go and grab people from like Target, Best Buy, see some kids walking out and say, hey, you guys want to hear something and see if you can guess what's in this car, and just like straight up, see what they would say. And most of them would think it was like 215s with like 1,500 watts, 1,000 watts or whatever on it. So I showed Chris this, and he was like, holy moly, I have no idea what's back there. And we had two Audio Bond 6.5s, and they were
mids.
Mid. They're for the doors, but they were kind of built kind of beefy. They were like beefy. They were like Stroker 6.5s. They couldn't throw far, but they had really tight suspension. They could handle, I don't know, 250 watts.
They were stout little 6.5s, but they were full on mids out of a component set.
Yeah,
I tell you. So like I've always, I don't know if I've seen those videos or something. Like I had to have seen at least one from you about that, because I know I've seen like PWKs and whatnot, and every time I see them, I was like, man, I'd love to build something tiny like that and just put in work. Like I need to do it one day. Just really tinker around some of them weird boxes.
So I guess Bobby.
So a couple days later, my buddy Chris, name's Chris Rowell, and Chris comes by to hang out because he did all the time. And he's like, you got to meet these guys. This guy, John and Brian, and they're super fucking cool, and you're going to fucking love them. They're super audio guys, and they, one of them knows exactly who you are. The other one thinks, they've heard of you, and it's awesome. And you got to meet them because he has this crazy thing of doing. He had these little 6.5-inch, like mid speakers. He's like, they're just like ordinary little 6.5s. And it was louder than my 212s. And he had 212s in sealed boxes in his truck. And I was like, well, that's fucking cool. Yeah, I need to check that out. And so then I think he gave me your email address.
Yeah, you got a hold of Brian.
And I sent an email, and then it went back and forth, and then
it's texting or online.
Yeah, we were online.
We had Powered for Sound's website, and it had like a form, and you could talk on the form and a whole bunch of other
stuff. And then I went up and I met John, and he had me fill out an NDA thing, right?
No, we went to your house. We drove to your house.
Oh, that's the first time you went to my house, huh?
Yeah, the first time.
And then when we videoed it the whole time,
yeah.
And they show up, and it's like, can you guess? I'm like, well, it's cheating. I already know that it's just 2 6.5s back there, but it fucking hammers. Like it's louder than my 4.8s that are in my truck that I love and adore. This is fucking crazy. And he shows me this wild little cube box, and he's describing what's happening inside. And I don't understand any of it. It's like It's like,
It set off your truck alarm.
yeah, it set off the alarm in my truck. It's flexing the roof. Like, you know, it was really impressive. And, you know, I
Love
mean,
stuff like that.
if you're talking about a box for 2 6.5s, it was fucking enormous, but it was about the size of
It's like
a
this,
small
but this.
a small single 12 ported, right?
Yeah.
So like if you had a 1.5, 1.75 ported box for a 12, but this thing's got a couple 6.5s in it in this really interesting configuration. Those were snail shells, right?
No, this was a double horseshoe box. So it was like the sound went through it, over, and then across, and then down, back, and up, and out. So it was like a horseshoe like this.
Okay.
So it's like a 2 U's together. So basically, I took a labyrinth enclosure and then
folded.
then
That's right.
bent
That's
it
right.
in half.
Yep. So, now initially the first few songs we were playing like some rock and roll, and then we played a little bit of rap stuff, and it was pretty fucking badass. And then we played Korn, Blind.
Yeah,
And it has a really solid, really steady bass note that's in the low to mid 30s as this big at the beginning of the song. And I was like, man, it plays that low note really well.
Yeah.
Now, that's not that low of a low note, especially not for these
It
days.
is 27 hertz though.
But you definitely did do
Yeah,
that.
we
But
did
I'm just,
20,
I just
that's
mean
when it
that
set off
day.
the alarm,
And I just remember it because a bunch of people were talking shit
Oh
online.
yeah. Oh yeah.
About, oh, Kaylee doesn't fucking know what frequencies are what,
Oh,
because
yeah,
that frequency is like 34 hertz. And I'm like, it's 2 fucking 6.5s, motherfuckers.
Everybody
Like,
would fight about
oh
these
yeah, they
boxes.
were, oh, that's all bullshit,
Yeah.
blah blah blah. And they're like on and on. I'm like, dude, it's fucking awesome. Like it was, and it had musical bandwidth. I don't know what the fuck it did peak on a fucking meter. It was probably pretty goddamn decent.
It had a very wide bandwidth.
Big, wide, beautiful, smooth
It's musical, and that's what
Yeah.
the double shots were too.
Exactly.
So they're not peaky.
Exactly. So anyway, it was a really fun experience, and it was like, this is really cool to find a couple guys that were as passionate about car audio as I was, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, we've been buddies ever since then. And he built me a double snail shell.
Yeah, that was like
for
the ultimate
L7s.
truck box. Wasn't
Yeah,
it?
the ultimate truck box.
That
It was
was
a double
for the
snail shell.
8-inch.
L7s.
Yeah, L7.8s.
Yep.
Yeah, that thing
2
was
L7.8s.
really good sounding.
I would like to do something with like the Q Class 8s or something. Or it may be real cool if there was a solo X8.
They talk about it. They are developing a 6.5. I know this for sure.
Well, your 6s sound awesome in a double shot.
That'd be really cool if they were.
Well, if they're not developing a 6.5, they sure as fuck are buying a lot of really badass 6.5s and testing them.
I see. I see. Yeah, I mean, that's, you can kind of tell like that, like what a company's doing like that by what they're buying and testing, or you can tell when the government's about to invade somewhere because their pizza orders suddenly go up a lot. That was it was the pizza meter. A guy in a dude in the DC area owned a bunch of pizza like chains, and every time a world event happened, he noticed that there was a massive spike in pizza orders to government buildings. Like instead of 5 a day, it's 30 a day.
The government ordering pizza?
Yeah, for people working.
Well, that was that one another thing. Like a week ago, they reported that they gave all the guys on that fucking badass U.S. ship steak and lobster. It was like, oh no,
More, bud.
everybody was fucking scared and shit. They're like, oh hey, like guys are calling their wives. They're like, shit might be going down. They gave us steak and lobster tonight.
Yeah,
That's what Brad was telling me earlier.
That guy, the dude who owned the pizza place, like he ended up being able to predict stuff. Like he couldn't tell you like what it was gonna be, obviously, but he's like, nah, something's about to happen.
Shit's
soon.
going down.
So now,
are we tracking that dude's shit right now or what?
Dave, so because of that, like 10 years ago, the government changed how they order pizzas.
Fuck.
That one guy is the reason they had to change up everything.
Hey, I sent a couple of videos to the Quietly Loud chat. Do you want to drag those in, Drew?
Yeah.
Can you teach me how to do that? How the fuck do I do that?
So like to present stuff like from the screen.
Yeah.
It should be the bottom of the screen. It should just say present.
Oh,
So you should be able to like click on it, save it to your desktop or whatever, and then share it.
oh, I see. Like just put it on the desk. I see. Okay. Well, I'll let you do it for now, and I'll fuck with it before the show next week. I'll drag something in and do the present thing and make sure I know what I'm doing before I fuck the whole thing up.
Okay, I gotta take this. Did want to bring up the bread truck with your stuff that's going in it and all that stuff too.
Yeah. Are you getting a new bread truck?
Well, that's what I want to talk about. I want to talk. Well, we need to sell the truck that we have right now
Yeah.
because state of California.
If we could register it like as it's a vehicle in
No,
that's in
because
Nevada.
they will not allow it to come back into the state. Once it leaves, it can't come back.
Oh, you can't operate it in California.
Can't operate in California, and unless I take the engine out of it and get smog compliant, or a gas engine in it, or
Audio may not work.
Yeah. I mean, you don't have to hear what I. I'll narrate it from fucking here if it's not working.
Nope.
Okay, so what we have here, these are the assembly of the parts. They need to get clear coated before I can put them together, and that's that piece that is there in my hand goes above the acrylic port wall on the top of the wall of the enclosure. These are the waveguide components. You can see.
Oh, okay, I see what you did.
Yeah, like that. And then you can kind of see the throat of the horn assembly here. Yeah, I figured you'd approve.
Pretty horny.
Yeah, I'm quite horny of that. And then it takes me, I fumble fuck around for a second here and get it assembled, and then I show it. And then there's a whole nother video where I do it backwards. But yeah. Assembling shit one-handed is super fucky. You think it's going to be easy?
It is. It never is.
You should just put the phone down. 100% of the time, the phone should just get put down. And there it is. And that's what it'll look like above the top of the. So what we got there, Matt, can you hear me?
Hi, Bobby.
Matt. Hi. So what we have there is I had a couple of Stevens Audio waveguide horns that we were trying to fit over the top of the wall assembly in the monkey box that we're building. It's got 3 18-inch subwoofers.
Bro, that looks sick. It's
pretty cool, huh? And the waveguides didn't fit. So John here, this is John Nolte, that's Matt Mergenthal. And John was like, you should just make them out of wood, and you can just kind of arc some panels and just kind of make it have a good guesstimate of the. And I didn't want to do that, so I designed those 3D parts too. Stack fab machine. And I made them. They are a very, if they're not real accurate, they're pretty goddamn reasonably accurate to the horn assemblies from Stevens Audio.
I'm gonna have to have Bobby make the horn assembly for the home speakers I want to make.
Yeah, I'm in. And we could test. You know what we should do is we should do the acoustic testing between the Stevens horns, both of the different ones. And the horn that we made using Max.
Oh yeah.
That'd be kind of cool.
You know what you should have when he does the coating on it? It should have a texture. Hard. No.
Oh, it'd be very
you
hard.
Want it smooth and hard.
Okay, yeah.
So the high frequencies can battle out. The wood is very porous, and if it's like wood, it'll absorb it, and you'll have weird notches inside of the frequency.
No, it should be good. They'll clear cut the shit out of it. Yeah. What is that? What are we looking at?
So a friend of mine locally owns a detailing shop. They do really good work, and he finished this today. It's heading out to SEMA, and I just happened to save the photos.
Sexy.
It's a shine shop in Dim Springs. Give him a shout out.
Sick.
Like I can appreciate the truck. Like at least it's not a lifted truck like everything else. But
with bad
welds. I'm so mad. I'm just a hater. That's what it is. I'm just hating because I want it so bad.
No, this is not the vehicle that those waveguides go in. The vehicle, shit. I don't have. Do you have pictures of the fucking monkey box, Drew?
Not that I could find easy.
Oh goddamn!
Have y'all seen the new GMC Duramax on 30-inch billets that got posted?
No.
Bro, I would sell my wife. Okay, maybe not.
I don't. No, I did.
No, maybe.
No, they didn't.
I'll pull up some photos. It's just come on, computer. All right, so we're going to start with the preview of it. Charities.
Okay.
Oh,
That's pretty dope. Holy
Yeah.
shit, that thing lays all the way out. That thing is
Yeah.
body drop the whole shit.
yeah. That's what got me. Is like, I was like, oh, cool, a bag dually. Oh.
That's pretty sick. Nice.
Yep. No, so for those who don't know, the Monkey Box XB is the Scion XB that has the whole plexi back hatch.
Yeah. I actually didn't build that. Another guy in the Sacramento area, he's a custom fabricator installer. He goes by the name of Sushi, and he's a fucking badass. He's really good with body filler stuff and shaping things by hand, and he's pretty badass on the router table. He's a good tech, and he works part-time at a couple of different shops in the area. And years ago, he built that back hatch assembly for Eric. It came out fucking great. It's still in great shape. And he used to have a big ass TV back there, and like the TV started getting a little dated, and some of the other shit in the build was a little old, and it was kind of time. And it was like, all right, he's like, if we're gonna do this thing one more time, we gotta go all the fucking way. And then it was like, okay, well, let's do it. And then it was like, can we do it and have it ready for SEMA? And I was like, I mean, the timeline of when he said let's do it was probably 3.5 months ago. And that all seems super realistic, but when we're backed up, 8-10 months on large scale builds, it was a little bit like, well, that's going to be fucking hard. So we started squeezing some of the project in and figuring it out. And then it kind of became one of these things where over the last couple of weeks, we just kind of dove headlong into this thing. Really only started on it about 3 weeks ago for real. I mean, I did a little bit of design work ahead of the game, and
that's what happens whenever you got a badass team.
He started tearing it down about a week before that. So Eric extracted everything and brought us the bare car, and we started really going for it. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's happening when you got a badass team, and you invest in your training and education and do as much awesome stuff as you can.
Yeah. Also, we left for 5 days to go to the max training. Me and Tyson, and I mean, a lot going on in the middle of it all. I'm like, I'm gonna go to the max training like fucking 9 days before SEMA.
Absolutely.
6 fucking vehicles going to SEMA. I'm like,
hey, I mean,
here we go, and I'm gonna drag one of my main technicians. Like, yeah, let's just go. We're just gonna be gone here. Fucking, all righty. Good luck, everybody. But yeah,
when you get the chance to see Matt, you have to.
I would ask Bobby, was it worth it?
Absolutely.
Oh, Matt. So that's John Nolte behind Bobby.
Hi, John.
He also has a Max.
Nice. Yep.
He got his mainly for super nice home audio stuff, I do believe.
Yeah, manufacturing, testing home audio speakers.
You may want the you might have got on the mic extensions.
Did you get the long leads?
I don't know how long are
they're like 100 foot or 50 foot.
There's
I don't
15 foot and there's 100 foot.
So it's whatever came stock in the thing. So
yeah, so
I think we, you know what, that was one of those things that we talked about. Order the cables, don't order the cables, and it was like, let's just get it, and then we'll get whatever the cables. You're like, because I probably should build some of these myself anyway.
Because I made the other cables anyway.
I knew you would want to. I was like, you're going to want to have made these your damn self.
Yeah, on the testing for the measuring the amplifier outputs and stuff like that. But definitely would want to get like matched if all the cables lengths are all matched lengths. I mean, I think that's important.
They're sold by the. Sorry, Matt, go.
I think that we might be talking about two different things. So what Drew was referencing was the microphone extension cables. So that
Yes,
you could run the
for the
microphone,
five.
further away.
Yeah.
Which actually, I think I have. There you go. Here's the 100-foot cable.
Oh wow. Yeah.
And then we also have the 15 footers. But then there's also the XLR cables that you could use for taking electrical measurements, which is
And
separate.
those are the ones I made. Yeah, I made those ones myself.
Yeah,
But
sure.
I would rather purchase the ones like the
Same.
100-foot cable. That's because it's probably matched for all 5 microphones. Because different lengths of cables could cause time delay issues. And I don't know. But
Jared,
Well-
no, you do not. Sorry.
Theoretically, it shouldn't because it's electricity's traveling at the speed of light, so you shouldn't see a difference regardless of cable length.
No, Jerry, you do not. I'm not a dealer.
Yeah, Jerry, we obviously we want to focus heavily on our dealers, our business partners, but definitely if you're interested, the next class is probably going to be around March. There are a couple prerequisites. You need to have a max audio measurement system, and you have to already be using it and be familiar with it, comfortable with it. And lastly, you have to take a quiz that we provide. And both Drew and Bobby did all of those things, and both did fantastic at the course.
Yep.
I cheated.
So there may be latency, but
I cheated
Max
on the
would
quiz.
account for
I
it.
didn't mean to cheat on the quiz, but I cheated on the quiz because
Max would account
me
for it
and Colt and Tyson all did all of it together, and so it was like we realized we were cheating right in the middle of doing it. We were all, we're actually cheating accidentally, aren't we?
I wouldn't exactly call that cheating, Bobby, because
Well, no, because here was where we knew it was actually cheating, is because Tyson was taking the quiz, and when he got done with the quiz, it told him all the shit that he had wrong and what the right answer was. And he got like 18 out of 20, and then me and Colt both got 20 out of 20 for sure.
And that's why Colt's test took 3 minutes. Got it.
Yeah, yes, yeah. So, yeah.
But you guys learned from that.
Yeah, we did.
Hey, Jerry, there's a list of
That I already
people who aren't dealers but are Max certified on the website, along with certified dealers. Why did we pick the Max? Well, the Max is, you said Max and DSP. They're
the Max chooses you.
Totally different things. Max is
you don't choose the Max.
System. Basically, Max is just a measurement system. Can be used with any DSP. Has a standalone measurement system. Period. It just integrates very well with JL DSPs for obvious reasons. But I went with the Max because there's nothing else like it on the market. There just isn't. It's not even like a little better. It's like a lot better than everything else on the market.
It's fucking way better. So I'll tell you my Max story. Drew obviously is a good friend of mine. Drew and I were talking a year and a half ago, and he was explaining how powerful the Max was and what it could do. And I'm like, I'm a DSP tuning fucking badass, and I'm good at this shit, and I love it. I love tuning DSPs, and you're telling me that this fucking tool does all of this shit. And then he was explaining it's a little it's so powerful that it makes it really challenging to understand and operate and learn what the fuck you can do. And I was like, man, I might be able to help you with that shit. And I think it'd be cool. And man, I've been trying to get you to come out and hang out at the Sky High barbecue with me. Why don't I fly you out? You can tune the Raiden. I can work with you on it. We'll learn together. It'll be fun. And the Raiden will sound even better. Jim won't mind a bit paying for this. And like, this is going to be fucking great. And
it was all those things.
So I flew Drew out, and he was busting his ass, and it was like insanity here at our shop because we had a barbecue the next day. It was 113 degrees outside.
It was the hottest day ever.
It was the hottest day that had been in Sacramento in like 10 years. It was fucking rough. And like, so Drew was set up over at Allison's desk, which is right over there. And he's got the leads, and we got the Raiden right here in front, and he's sorting out goofy shit we did with Signal to make this thing work correctly. And when it was all said and done, it sounded way better than it ever had. It was fucking fantastic. We were super happy with it. We had a great time at the barbecue. and then I was like, man, I need to fucking buy one of those things. And so not long after I ordered one, and once I got it, I started communicating with Matt. And the more I worked with the Max and with Matt, really the guys worked with the Max and Matt, the more I was like, I really love this piece. I love this fucking dude, Matt, who is super knowledgeable and incredibly good at teaching us how to get through these things over a phone call or a video chat, and like fucking, you know, shit, any time of the day we needed help, he was there to shoot us back at least a couple messages and let us get us over a couple hurdles, you know. And then after working with some of the JL products that are designed to work directly with the Max, I was like, I have to be a fucking JL dealer. I was like, this is fucking absurd. I already am invested into this product. I'm already using the products that work directly with it. I already make products that go with some of the products they make. I already make boxes for their product. So a couple fucking phone calls, and I signed up as a signature JL dealer. And
sure, huh?
Shit, once me and Tyson pass the test, me and Tyson are going to be right up at the top of that signature dealer, Max certified. And
once
shit,
I saw it, I had to get it.
Yeah. Once John had an inclination, it was like one of the first orders that I made. I was ordering John's Max
because I had Leap a long time ago.
Oh,
so I ran LMS and I did a lot of testing with that back in the day. And then when I got to play with this, I was like, oh my gosh, I've been looking for this forever. This is doing everything, you know, that I needed. So I mean, like, we're using what is the 808, and that's what I'm using at home right now to do a lot of the testing. I basically put that on prototype towers, and then I figure out all my crossovers, because we run all passive crossovers in a lot of the designs. That gives me a really good spot for setting up everything and listening. And I mean, yeah, it's basically I reverse engineer my own speakers that I'm building to design the proper crossover networks for them.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's why I bought it. That was one of the main reasons why I bought it. Then there's a ton of other reasons, like me, even amplifiers. We test amplifiers, see what the bandwidth of the internally on some of these older amplifiers, like threshold amplifiers and stuff like that, to see how well they work. And, you know, after doing mods on them, doing black gates inside of them, cap upgrades and stuff like that, we can see the differences, even pre-amplifiers. So it does everything. So
yeah.
So Mark, no, I do not prefer the DM810. The DM810 is not a bad product. It does have some limitations. What's great about the DM810 is it's pretty user friendly. If you've never worked with DSP stuff and you were using the audio control stuff, it's usually a little more straightforward to get through. There are a few things that are a little more hidden than they should be. They're just kind of accidentally buried. Whereas working in the Tune software, especially with the Max, there's so many things that can be done that it's pretty daunting, and like, what the fuck am I doing? And then I will say, as much as I love Matt and Nick and Steve and the way they teach and how excited they get about stuff when they're describing it, and they're like, and we're going to do this over here. And they start clicking on things and they're like, or if you want, you can do these hotkeys. And this hotkey goes like that. And that hotkey goes like that. And that hotkey, I just showed you 7 different ways to do the exact same thing. Hope you remember none of them. And then they just move right along.
Scott watching this right now, fuming, mad.
And I'm like, God damn it. I'm like, right, wind it back and just try to remember the one first thing he was clicking on. Oh, it's not there anywhere. They moved it when they improved the software. Fuck. Okay, let me find that. So there is obviously, it's so fucking powerful that it takes a bit of training. It takes a bit of understanding of the software. So if you were considering,
I think that's any DSP software. You got really used to the audio control thing, and we're new to this.
Well, I'd already used, a handful of other things before the audio control, and I got through them pretty well. I even tuned a JL amp, and the first time I tuned a JL amp, I was like, what in the fuck is going on here in this software?
Bobby, I think you're a rare case because you tend to do a lot of custom, like not off the shelf stuff.
Yeah,
If you're doing off the shelf stuff, like I want to just give you a quick example. Like let's say you do a 606 or an 808. We'll go with an 808, and I'll create a new project. And this is the setup tool. So you type in some information about the vehicle. So we could say Bobby's Hellcat or whatever he drives.
Oh, God, no.
And you could type that in, and you go to your input configuration. So is it a 2-channel left?
Well, I know that part is all super straightforward, but
right. So you can.
I suppose one of the reasons why there was a big obstacle, I did an 808 was the first one that I tuned, is I was going into an existing tune and working within it, and it was a little weird and clunky, and me figuring out how to make adjustments was a little challenging for me because I was, it was different. And I wasn't starting from the beginning.
You were also using Max, right? Like you were probably
no. This when I went back, like when I was I had my DMRTA audio control mic in the customer's truck and was tuning at 808, and I didn't just install it. The customer came to me because his truck sounded like shit, and he wanted somebody that knew how to tune a DSP. And I was like, well, I've never done the JL before, but I just got to figure out how to do it. And it took us some time to sort out how to make adjustments in it the way I wanted to go and look at what I was looking at and mute things and understand the connections and things of that nature. But this stuff, I got it.
Yeah, so this is relatively simple. So you just select your input, you select your output. When you do that, it names the inputs. It names all of the outputs and sets up crossovers. It also sets up the DRC for the little remote control knob. And then you can enter your speaker distances. Once you press OK, it brings you right to the tune tab. And if you entered your distances, that's all done. So at this point,
if I would have been smarter on that first one that I did a few years ago, I wouldn't have tried to crack into whoever else's tune and fix it because none of that shit was labeled correctly because they must have not bothered to use the little helper system on the front end.
Yeah.
So anyway.
No, that you're right, Bobby. That's like going into somebody else's tune after the fact. That's like the worst thing. That is
the big, like sometimes you can look and see what the hell they did, right? But really, if you don't know how to work in the software, you should still start over from the fucking beginning. Because, I mean, whatever that guy had done in there before me had made a big old hot mess, and none of the shit was labeled correctly. He wasn't using two of the channels that he very well should have been. And so we were doing some wiring changes and the whole damn thing. So anyway, yeah.
With that said, if you kind of look at the signal flow, the way that these DSPs work, signal comes into the DSP, it goes through the input mixer. This allows you to mix different inputs in case you wanted to do something like send a radar detector signal into a certain speaker. You can mix those signals in.
Oh, that's kind of fun.
Then it goes down through the equalizer blocks. You can see right here, it says equalizers. Then from there, it goes to the output router. So that's where is the signal going to which speaker.
Yes.
Then it goes through the crossover. And then from the crossover to the DRC setup and then to the output. So like that's the entire signal flow through the actual DSP, and we just show it to you. So you can kind of see like how the signal flows. And then when you go to the tune tab, you have your EQs up top, you have your crossovers down low, you have delay and polarity, and then lastly you have your output trims. You can change the level for each output. So at this point, after you do the setup tool, like if you're not using the Max and you're just using the single mic, you're ready to start EQing the system and matching it to a target curve.
Yeah, that's what people don't. A lot of people don't realize is, yes, Max works with Tune, absolutely, but Tune is standalone from Max, and will work with a USB mic just like Rue and everything else.
Just a regular old USB mic, and you can do the whole damn thing if you know the software. So like Jerry and I were talking a while back, and he already understands and uses the tune software. I don't know that he's used anything else, and that's probably an advantage for him to some degree. So when he does start working with a Max and tuning his JLDSP, he's going to have a lot easier time than some people that have maybe learned doing something different, because everybody's got a different way of doing things. Some of the manufacturers are trying to keep things relatively simple, and that makes it like real fucking easy for an everyday person that doesn't have a lot of experience or time or access to training, where a lot of softwares don't need much instruction at all. But I believe the tune software does to some degree, but only because it's so incredibly powerful that it's way better to have some fucking training than get in there and start just fooling around with it. So anyway, yep.
But yeah, no, the training was great. I learned. I always learn stuff, especially around that many smart people.
Yeah, it's a good time. It was, learning, getting to talk to Nick. You get a little more understanding of what's really happening and why in a vehicle, in a speaker.
That boy got that big noodle.
Yeah, make you a little sleepy sometimes because he overwhelms you with too much intelligence. You get like, I can't handle all of the knowledge I'm absorbing at this moment, so I'm gonna start getting a headache. But
him and Jacob was super helpful to me too while we were there. The other engineer, I don't know, his title was acoustical engineer or something. I don't remember what it was, but
yeah,
I think he's like a physicist, like actually.
Yeah, he's a physicist. Yep.
No, he was a physics teacher.
Physics teacher. Oh,
same thing.
Same thing. Yeah, same to me.
Yeah, he understands enough to teach it. He's physicist.
Yeah. So. Yeah.
If y'all are in the industry, go vote for Matt for whatever the thing is for MEI.
Yep.
What is the category?
Vendor support technician.
Vendor support technician of the year. Yep. If y'all are in the industry, go. There's a link on my page and his.
Brian Travis does that to you because he's lying. Pretty consistently, exclusively lying and manipulating. In case you were wondering why it's hard to understand what he's saying, it's because it's probably all bullshit. So, yeah.
Devastating bass, bro. You can get some Gotham. Not Gotham. Yeah, Gotham's a big.
Yeah,
one.
the Gotham. Yeah, it's behind him on the wall, Drew. That's what. You can get it at Gately Audio, Michael Moore, because we are JL dealers.
But you're gonna need to bring your money. You're gonna need to bring a lot of money.
I bet they're fun. So yeah. Anyway.
Oh man, how was it, John Nolte? You should come on more live streams.
I'm all quiet back here, hush. Just listening.
Sheesh.
He wants to know if a 3/4 wave box should be out of phase to the 1/4 wave box next to it.
No,
they'd be in phase.
No, one will be. It's the time difference from the back of the driver to the front of the driver, so they're still going to be in phase because one's going to be a 1/4 wave and one's going to be a 3/4 wave. One box is going to be much longer for it to be back into phase with it, so it's not changing the time alignment of it between the two channels like if you had two speaker boxes. So no, they would be both exactly the same, even that it looks like it's out of phase because you're looking at it on like a sine wave, 3/4 down here, 1/4 up on the top. So but you're still getting the same amount of gain. You're still at the top of the maximum
with your max. You can measure it, make sure it's right. Yep. I'm talking to that person, not you. You know what you're talking about. I'm talking about the other guy.
Yep. So yeah.
Yeah, the training was definitely
a leaf blower. Yeah.
Right.
I went to the first
mean,
one, and then I missed the first day of this one, but
Nice, good time for a leaf blower.
it was it definitely seemed. You can definitely tell that y'all learned a lot about like what order to do everything in.
Yeah,
So
since it was the first one we did, we learned a lot about how to improve it for the second one, and the second one was a slam dunk. It was amazing. I was really happy with how it turned out.
yeah, and what was really cool is you guys were kind of making adjustments kind of on the fly a little bit here or there. You're like, we're a little extra ahead, so we're gonna make some more time to do a little more of some of these other things over here that we weren't sure if we were gonna take the time to do or not, and then when one point we got a little bit behind, so you were like, we're gonna make a little adjustment to that part to accommodate for the time we needed to spend here. And it was, you guys had kind of a method to deal with where we as a team were a little more advanced and where we needed a little more attention. So
Sure.
That was really interesting. Yeah.
Someone in my DM saying that I dyed my beard. I'm like, nah, bro, the light's just dim. Bobby and Matt just saw all the grays over the
The only
weekend.
one who dies is me right here.
Well, yeah, I thought he was talking about you. He's like, I know you
Don't go
dyed that
purple.
beard. I'm like, if you don't know.
Fucking John grows naturally a perfect
beard,
and the carpet matches the drapes and shit. Yeah, it's fucking wild. So there is an app, not for the Macs, for Tune, right? So there is a phone app for Tune, but you're not gonna tune with your Macs on your phone.
No.
And then there's also an app for like a tablet for Tune that gives you a little more access. But again, it's still, you're not going to use. You need a pretty decent computer.
Nice laptop.
It can be a crap top and work, but
I have used Macs with a crap top. Yep.
Yeah, it's better if it's not a crap top. But
I was tuning a truck locally for the DB drive rep, like the South, and the laptop got in the sun, and Mac started like making random noises. I was like, all right, that was the day I went and bought the better laptop.
Well, it is designed to be able to operate on a crap top. That was one of the rules that Nick had, right? Was it needed to be able to work on a shit $299 laptop? Is that right, Matt?
Yeah, we wanted to make sure, because a lot of times in install bays, we don't have the highest of quality computers. Usually it's like, okay, I just needed a computer to be able to, program this remote start brain or something along those lines, or just need.
Or you won't be that mad if it gets dropped on the ground.
Yeah, so we wanted to make sure that whatever we did do would be able to run on at least a more basic laptop. Maybe not like the cheapest laptop you could find, but like, on like a regular $300, $400, $500 laptop, that it would be sufficient to at least use it. Knowing that there could still be some limitations, but we did our best to, try to make it so that any laptop could run it. So there's like even settings related to the graphics update and how quickly the frame rate of the software works, just so you can, take away some of the stress from your laptop. So
I like it. It works good for me.
Definitely.
What do you have any advice for caging a build?
Like whoever we need to talk to about getting that.
I think I have a whole list of shit.
Build it
I still
stronger.
haven't placed my JL order that I told you I was going to do on Monday. And man, I'm like, I'm going to order much shit on Monday. Nope, not yet.
Yeah, throw in that 100-foot cable.
Okay.
Definitely. That'll make my life a lot easier.
John, he's asking about boxes.
Designs for sale or boxes for sale. I think someone else asked build for customers. I haven't been doing that for a really long time. I don't have the ability to do it. I mean, Bobby and I have talked about some stuff, and
we've done a couple, right? So we designed.
I wanted to build them for his drivers, pretty much.
Yeah,
that's what we kind of been talking about, because all of these boxes are designed per driver, per Thiel Smalls of the driver. So it becomes really complicated when you have to redesign the enclosure and do all the math and everything. And then the box is different. It's not like you can just, throw any speaker inside of these boxes. And some speakers don't even work really well in some of the double shot enclosures. But like, you know, like the Gately audio speakers, all of these speakers will pretty much work inside of the double shot enclosures, stuff like that.
So we did, what was that, about 4 years ago when I did the double shot for the 4 Sundown X8s.
Yeah, and then we did the ones for the 6.5s, and we put them in
And
the
the
red truck.
6.5s
In
yeah.
a drove
Yeah, yeah.
in the red truck.
So we've done a few, and what it usually comes down to is, you know, a customer of John's says, "Hey, I'd really love to have one of your double shots." They communicate a little bit, and then he says, "Okay, we work out something. I'm going to charge this much for the design," and he hands it over to us, and then we build it. When it comes to these things, John's super particular about how the enclosures are built, like down to the gnat's ass, and he's very particular. So he kind of oversees how I'm doing it and describes what is necessary, and will point out some of the really, really important gaps that need to be within a very tight tolerance, because it's critical.
It's very critical
Because you can be off a little bit and have it really have a very negative effect on the enclosure, and that makes it a little bit scary. And I totally understand why. He doesn't want to just hand off a design to somebody and have them do a shitty job building it and then say, "Oh, that thing didn't perform well."
Exactly, and that's happened in the past. You know, doing like kind of, I used to do, like back in Power for Sound days, do flat pack boxes,
and they wouldn't build it right.
And they wouldn't build it right. They wouldn't put the things together right, and then they would, you know, complain, go on the forums, and you know, or throw another driver in it. You know,
Right.
without,
Yeah,
you know, like,
I ordered it for these Brahmas,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna put this other thing in it.
Yeah,
And
some other weird driver, and it's like, well, that's not going to work. Some Shiba driver or something.
I just wanted to share some of these pictures from the class.
Yeah, absolutely.
That way. So this was kind of like when you walk up to the building. This was some stuff we had set up outside. We had our Can-Am Defender playing some music, as well as our Gladiator, which is pretty cool. And then we had this is the classroom setup. So we had some TVs, a projector set up, and we did some classroom stuff in there. This was the garage area. And you can see we had a couple vehicles out here. It looks like 6 vehicles total, as well as we did a bunch of demonstrations in the middle, which you'll see in some of these other pictures. Here's a picture of Steve doing some talking about what is max. You know, what's the difference between tune and max. Let's see, more of Steve talking about the goals of system tuning. Here's a picture of some of the class there. And there's Rob in the background in that one. Oh, who's that guy?
I don't know, but I got a funny look on my face.
Some more Steve. We got Rob here. And here we have Steve and myself doing some training about, we're actually doing some really cool stuff where we actually build a car out of, portable speaker boxes and kind of show the effects of DSP and what we can do with it. Here was some talking about the tuning process for Max in the classroom. There was some more stuff out here where we actually had these boxes set up in like a tower configuration to show how they sound with and without DSP. This is Carlos and I going through and some computer stuff there. And same kind of stuff here. There's Bobby again.
Yeah, I was the first volunteer to be put in a car. That wasn't a car.
I don't know who I was pointing at here. I have no idea.
Probably Tyson.
Maybe. We were talking about Expert Assist, which is a new feature coming to Tune software here in the next month or so. That's really cool. And here we were doing another demonstration with Expert Assist, and I'm pointing at somebody again. Here's Bobby and Tyson and Justin and Martin. And that was it. That's all I got there.
I still need one of those little black clips that was in that photo right there. It was a good time. Learned a lot. I also, what was really kind of cool is that, you put a lot of pressure on us to know our shit pretty well with regards to the software and the Max. And that worked out really well for everybody, but I was like, shit, man, I didn't get to spend quite as much time as I really wanted to tuning with the Max. I probably had 2 hours total time with a Max setup in the van. 3 different total moments, and I had watched several of the videos, and I had played around in tune here at my desk for a period of time.
Right.
But as soon as we got started in class and we were kind of trucking along, and then as soon as we got hands-on, it was like, we just do this, boom, 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 boom. This is this, that is that. It was like, and there, I did the whole damn thing. It was like, well, that was fucking easy now because I did the damn thing. I already got it, And then at one point when I would probably the second time around, I was doing it and everybody's like, use this hotkey like this. And I'm like, can you guys stop? You guys leave me alone with the hotkeys. I'm not in that big of a fucking hurry right now. Actually, I'm just doing the goddamn thing and I'll sort out hotkeys later. I just want to.
I'm sure it helped that you had watched quite a bit of hours of video content beforehand.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
I have a question on talking about the dynamic mic on the Max, because I had this question with I was talking to Tyson, I think, the other day about it. What is the maximum dB allowed without damaging, the 5 microphone array setup? Where should you stay around, not go above and probably not go below, but I mean above without damaging them?
So by default, there is a 20 decibel gain applied to the microphones, and that's for somebody who's never used it before. When they first hook it up, if it's in let's say a quiet vehicle, they might think that there's no signal playing and that the mics aren't working, but in reality they are. So by default, we apply a 20 dB gain just so that you see something on the microphone input as soon as you plug it in. So if you're looking to measure higher levels, then what you want to do is you want to disable the hardware multiplexing where it averages the microphones, and you want to turn off that 20 dB gain and set it to 0 dB. With it set at 0 dB, the mics are good to between 130 and 150 dB.
Before compression.
Relatively speaking, you're not going to hurt the mics. The
Okay.
only thing you'll see is if you get to the top of their limit, you'll see the input clipping, and you'll know that you have to just turn it down a little bit, but you're not going to hurt the mics. Even if even if you put in a really loud environment, the mic capsules, generally speaking, will be okay.
Good. That's really actually good to know. Yeah, I didn't know that.
So we had a question here. No, the double shots that John designs and work with are very different, and I'm not sure why Pete calls his a double shot. Doesn't entirely make sense to me. I'm a big fan of Pete, and I've worked with Pete quite a bit, but his double shot is not at all.
Brian,
it doesn't even have
that name too.
Yeah,
because we had another speaker, and it was about Starbucks kind of thing.
Right. Yeah.
Double shot.
Yeah. So Pete's design doesn't even resemble John's in any way at all. But I am familiar with it, and I had conversations with Aaron White at Audio Dynamics as I was talking about John's double shots, and he was like, Pete builds those, and I was like, no, he doesn't.
His is like an aperiodic bichamber, I believe. So it's basically like multiple ports that are in a speaker, ABC box. I don't know if anybody's heard of that, but that's a aperiodic bichamber. So it's servos.
So, and I'm not exactly sure what Pete's double shot is, but I know it's very different than John's. I do really love Peter Kluge's bass reflex 6th order enclosures a lot. They have really excellent low bass extension, and they're a really flat-ish high output enclosure. And when you have a little extra space to work with, and you have a driver, typically it's a very compliant driver, relatively high power, you can gain a shitload of output over the bandwidth and killer low bass extension with one of his bass reflex 6th orders. I built several of them, and just about 100% of the time I was very, very pleased. There's only a couple of misses on those with his design. So yeah.
What else we got here? Can you elaborate on Expert Assist?
Sure. So Expert Assist is a guided tuning process. So imagine, hi, Jeff. Imagine if you had Jeff.
Imagine if Jeff was standing there over your shoulder telling you how to do everything.
I'm
There
telling
you
you, you need, instead of Clippy like Microsoft, you need a Jeffy. It's just his head floating around the tune, offering assistance.
So basically, imagine if you had an expert that was able to assist you at any time throughout the tuning process. That's kind of the way we'll put it, but at the same time, like, you need to be the expert, and Tune can assist you through the guided tuning process. It will not tune for you. This is not an auto tune. It will simply guide you through a process that's repeatable, and you won't forget steps. What's really cool about that is you have 100% full access to all of the data and the measurements throughout the process. You're never locked out of the tune. So that way, and not only that, but it can be used on up to 10 amplifiers, networked on, like, using VXI or MVI amplifiers.
Which is where the speed really comes in.
Yeah, on 1 amp, it's probably similar time frame to somebody who's already really good at tuning. But when you have several amplifiers set up, let's say it's a 4 amp system, it can switch between the different tune tabs and network tabs, and switch from amp to amp very fast and seamlessly. It's really powerful, but you're still the expert and you're still in charge. So if you say, I don't like that, you can go ahead and make changes right then and there. It never replaces the tuner. It just helps the tuner to not forget steps.
Yeah.
Guides
It's not
them through
auto
the
tune, but
process.
most auto tunes that are out there lock you out.
Right.
Yeah, that's one of the things. Even just the audio EQ part in the regular tuning process, I love that you can be like, oh, that wasn't quite good enough, and you can undo it, or you can even just fuck with it a little bit after the fact. You got your option of doing whatever the fuck you want to do.
What's cool about that is Bobby does really complex and custom builds, even SPL stuff, and this isn't limited to like a certain type of system or a certain type of audio. Bobby can use this for all of his systems if he so chooses, which is really
got to build
absolutely intend to
custom
do
targets for these loud builds. That's it.
Yeah. Yep. You just have to
I'll definitely be creating. I have every intention of creating targets that are pretty, oriented towards the 160 dB demo vehicle builds to make them fucking musically pleasing and not fatigue you and make you bummed out and be like, God damn it, I gotta do some of these fucking tweeters in here. And
the biggest thing I noticed with the Tahoe using like auto EQ and such, I haven't done a lot of tuning with it because I took it apart, but I had to basically build a target that had sub like bass response, but no sub in the target. It was all based on mid basses. Because our doors have so much mid bass in it, like so much energy in them, that tune just, like, if you auto EQ, it just tries to -12 everything. You have to really
it depends on how you place the data, obviously.
You have to really give it a bunch of mid bass.
It would be really cool to see you do that, Drew. Like if you were able to like set it up one day on one of these where you actually pull the Tahoe up and set up Max and you go through a tuning process on that would be awesome.
Yeah, that would be really
actually
cool.
I need to. Well, yes, coming soon, because I apparently my mids are on the way for the truck.
So when Tyson got here, Colt had put like just a set crossovers tune in the monkey box and just made sure everything was operating. That was all they had done so far. And so when Tyson arrived, and Colt was like, one of the things we need to do is we need to get the Max in there and do a tune. And so it was like, as soon as he like said Max, Tyson's like, and he's like setting up the mic and he's doing the whole thing and he's all excited and he's in there and he does the tune and he like turns on that fucking goodnight song that annoys the fuck out of me. And I'm like he's listening to the fucking Go Ahead and Die fucking song in there. And I go over and I'm listening to it and I'm like, this thing sounds fucking beautiful, but the doors are like, it's more than just mid bass. It's fucking bass because there's 4 6.5s in a sealed box on each door. And he's like, dude, these things, they dig right on down into the 50s. Perfect. Beautiful. And I'm like, where do you have these crossovers? He's like 60. I'm all, that's not going to be realistic in here, Tyson. He's like, dude, if it's playing it, man. And I'm like, no.
It is when you're listening to Aaron Neville.
I'm like, no, we're gonna have to change it. And so, and anyway, he's like, he's listening. He's got Peppery Man going and shit. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm all, you spent way too much time with all these
we'll come
fucking
back to your
SQ
question.
nerds to get in this vehicle right here. I was like, if you were doing all of this in the van, cool. But in this car, you need to be playing like DJ Rusticles with no subs playing and figuring out what the fuck these mids are going to do when we play that shit. He's like, okay, yeah. And I'm like, where'd you put the mics for this? And he's like, driver's seat. And I'm all, no, this is a demo vehicle. If you were going to actually have it focused on a single seat, it should be the passenger seat. But you're the driver, and you should also enjoy it reasonably. Otherwise, you're going to hate sitting in here. So put the fucking mics in the middle where they belong for this demo vehicle.
One thing you could always do, Bobby, is you could always do like 3 mics in one seat and 2 mics in the other seat. You could do time alignment to the preferred seat and still look at, mics 4 and 5 and say, well, how does it look over there? Does it look bad or does it look okay?
I'll just call John and have him bring his second Max over, and I'll be like Jeff with the double Max. We'll fucking
10
max
microphones.
out.
There we go.
No, Jeff's done it a couple times. He has pictures of him doing it.
Awesome.
We'll call Jeff and be like, hey, talk me through this.
3.
I want to be like, I want to be cool. Yeah, we'll just put all the fucking, put one like right in the back of the box and the whole fucking thing. Just like, I mean, it's one thing to have one in every seat, but there's only 2 fucking seats.
Jeff wants to do one in 4 seats.
No,
Yeah.
well, you have one in each seat, and then you put one on the console, and you do your timing references, and you got RTAs, and you got 3 computers. Makes total sense to me.
Yeah, absolutely. You're sitting there trying to make all of them clean. What you'd end up with is you would fucking just be pulling everything down everywhere the whole time. And you're like, and you like get in, and you're like, it's hella quiet. Go back to that tune you did with just the one seat. Yep, it's cool. It's like fucking 7 dBs louder. Fuck, okay. So
someone asked, what would be the total to shoot for max certification starting from scratch?
Well, you get a max and you spend about $4K, and then you're gonna have, I would say, if you are an experienced DSP tuner, you'll need to spend about 10 hours learning, watching videos, setting up the max, doing your own tunes, getting ready,
at least
studying all the stuff that Matt, Steve, and Nick developed that you'll need to know for the quiz that you have to take to be accepted. And then you gotta, go and get the training. And after the training, you got to get a little more practice, and then you will take the final test to get your certification, which I intend to do right after SEMA.
So ideally, like Bobby said, the cost of the max is really the entry fee, and then your personal time is what you need to spend. At that point, you don't have to spend more money; you need to spend more time. And we have well over 30 hours of video content specifically on Tune and Max. And if you really take the time to watch all 30 hours of content, we have a Tune and Max playlist on Facebook, on the JL Audio Facebook. If you truly watch all of those videos and, practice, you'll breeze through the class.
I want to watch all of those again because it's going to be so much more clear and easy for me. Now, because 1, I've watched them all once, and 2, after being at, JL Audio for 12 hours a day for 4 days in a row, I have a lot more knowledge now. And I guess the other big expense is you'll have to travel to wherever they're doing the max training, and you'll have to, get yourself a hotel room. And that's going to cost a couple bucks, especially if you want to pay for one of your employees to attend as well.
That's true. We don't.
Worth it. I can't believe the guys that had all paid for their own shit. I was like, "Is your boss going to reimburse you?" And they're like, "No, that was hard to get the day off." I was like, "That's insane." Like, what the fuck? Like, I'm like, dude, I was like, I'm paying for your shit. You're going to go do the training. I'm going to pay you for the days that like Tyson would have had a full day Thursday, full day, and Friday, and a full day Monday. He got paid for full days of those. He just didn't get paid for the weekend days that
makes sense.
He wouldn't have normally got paid for. But yeah,
Yeah, no, we don't charge for the class. The class is free to attend so long as you meet the requirements and we choose you to be one of the attendees. That said, there is obviously the flight and the hotel that you'll have to pay for, but we do get a group rate for the hotel, and we also provide transportation to and from the hotel to JL Audio. So,
And I'll
will
be
I
there
be
to provide
allowed to
transportation
invade
also.
the? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Drew.
I said I'll be there to provide transportation also.
Yeah. If am I allowed to just invade the trainings like Drew does? If now that I've been through it.
let's not get too wild here.
You're going to end up with like whole classes coming back.
Yeah, that's where the problem starts. We invited 20 people, and how did 40 people show up?
Get the re-invite people. Yeah, it'll be fun. Well, I'll tell you what. If you let me come back, I'll bring my fucking van, and we could use it for things.
Now we're talking.
With the roto sub in it.
Measure down to 1 hertz.
Yeah, exactly.
Dude, Nick I think Nick would love to check that sub out. 100%.
Yeah.
Let me see.
And I'll bring John. If we invite me back, I'll drag John and probably Colt too. We'll go.
Well, they better take the test.
Yeah,
the quiz.
Let's see, John.
And anyone that thinks that they can just do acoustic tunes and be badasses at tuning and pass this thing, because
no, it's not. You have to be pretty fucking passionate about it to want to do it. Otherwise, the people that aren't, we were in a room full of people that love doing all of this shit. That's why that was how it was. People that are like, I don't really like, I don't like all that shit. You know what I mean? Like tuning, guys there are guys that have shops that are not fucking interested in tuning people's cars when their audio system is complete. They're like, that's not part of what we do. You can set your gains. What? So anyway.
Bobby, I had a call like that today, by the way. Will remain anonymous on where that call came from, but got a install done within the state of Texas and called me and said, hey, I heard you're the guy to go to, can you tune this? And I'm like, why didn't your shop tune? Like, I don't understand. He's like, oh, he said he didn't do that, and he said just to go to you. I'm like, okay.
You can't name the name of that shop?
I can.
I would. I'm just saying that if it was like there's a shop and they're right around the corner from us and they're right over there, and they don't know how to fucking tune anything, and that shop
it's
is
3 hours away.
Rhymes with holding and it starts with the letter R, audio, and they don't know what the fuck they're doing, and yeah. But anyway.
Well, I mean, I'm blocked by the thing, but now if they could have worded that a lot different, be like, look, if you want. Like, look, we could get you playing, but if you want the best you could possibly be, dude, 3 hours away is even better than we are, and we're not scared to admit it. I mean, yeah, they could definitely like gas that up.
Yeah,
they could church it up.
We don't do that. Here's all this shit I'm gonna sell you that really needs this service, but we don't provide that.
Yeah. So what we're looking at here is a roto sub.
That's the old one, right?
That's the old one right now. Yeah. That's the one that was in the
Let
closet.
me pull up the next video. I got a video of it playing.
Jerry, the class is 3 days in length. We did a reception on Thursday from 4 to 7, just like a meet and greet and a tour of the facility. And then Friday and Saturday were both 12-hour days from 9 to 9. And Sunday was a little bit less. It was 9 to 6. And then we did a celebratory dinner around 8.
Slippery in there. That video's so old.
Oh, shit.
That was the one that's shaking the whole entire wall.
Yeah.
Oh, window's shaking big time.
So
yeah, let me show y'all it moving, and you'll understand like what's happening.
Do the slow motion one where it kind of shows the mechanics of it moving. I think I sent you that one.
So what's
this one?
what's crazy about that
That one
video where he was showing that the wall was shaking and the gutter was like double tapping all crazy.
Oh, yes, the plants are moving outside.
Inside the house, it wasn't super audible.
Oh no, it was the whole ceiling.
Yeah.
The ceiling fan above me was flexing so much that I was worried that the ceiling was going to come down.
So it's
And that's when-
spinning.
Yeah. Now it's at 1,000, then I crank it up to about 2,000 RPM. And you gain a lot more dB because more and more it spins, more cone
Look at
area.
that box
it
in the
has.
background when it moves.
What's that?
This box in the background.
Oh yeah, and that's just free air, so it doesn't even have a
Baffle?
a baffle around it. It needs it because it'll have cancellation, and so faster it spins, it multiplies its cone area by almost X squared because it's spinning, and lower the frequencies go, the more the blade is on through the through the RPM spin. Instead of like if it was 10 hertz, it'd be pretty quick. But if it's at 1 cycle, it's on for a lot longer. So the volume, the gain is astounding. It doesn't have a roll off like that.
Yeah, the lower the frequency, the more efficiency.
And obviously, this is not my design. This is somebody else designed these, built these. I'm just trying to make a big monster, scary one. So
Yeah.
Oh, here it is.
So I need to
So,
put these in the back
there's-
window of the Mazda.
Yeah, there's your low bass extension, Jeff.
oh, it'll go down to 1 cycle like no problem.
So one of the things that I talk about with John all the time with
that's
regards
insane.
to these things is if you created a little tiny bit of bias.
Loading, yeah.
So you'd be pressurizing the cabin.
So it's like a fan.
So it's like it's working a little bit as a fan, but it's also the driver. So you could your ears would be popping and shit in there and all this dense air pressure, and then that thing starts humping, and you're gonna gain.
So I wanted to mount basically one of these in like the bread truck, like a 24-inch version or even like a 30-inch version, and then I was going to put it in a quarter wave labyrinth. Going back, and the labyrinth design that I have is around 17 dB gain enclosure over a sealed enclosure. It's monstrous. It has lots of gain, but with the low frequencies, usually a quarter wave or most even a ported box, once you have roll off, it rolls off, and usually the driver has to do the work, so it has a lot of movement. Well, with this driver, it's the opposite. Lower in frequency you go, more gain that you get. Higher the frequency you go, less you get. And that's why like 30 hertz is pretty much the cutoff as the high frequencies go, maybe 40, depending on the size of the driver and the mass of the blades and everything. And I want to build like really small, like 6-inch version, like PC fan looking style ones, hopefully here pretty soon.
You can put a half a dozen of them under the seat of a truck.
Oh, this one's funny. So I was doing testing in my room across the whole house. That's 12 cycles.
Oh, let's see.
From
That
like
is-
that little.
That little bell hanging there, like there's a little washer off the bell, and it's shaking, and like inside and it's all the way in my room. And that was off of 12 watts,
rough.
by the way. So 12 watts of input power.
So we need it for an SDDN, and I got a 10K. Let's go.
Right?
And then you get like a big ass electric motor.
Well,
we're gonna
you
call
know,
we're gonna
50
call
more.
big ass fans.
here's the cool thing is the next one that I build after I build this one, I want to do. Have you ever seen the helicopters that have dual props?
Yeah.
Rotors. One goes opposite direction than the other one. So if you do that, no matter what, and they're both playing at the same time, you have no gaps within the blades.
Yeah.
So because you have gaps right now, so they're crossing each other and making a cross section, but they're still pushing air in and out, back and forth, and it'll be like way more efficient. It'll be really evil.
So you get with the big ass fan company. I need a 30-foot one.
Well, it would need to be. You could just actually have a full size helicopter rotor assembly.
All right, let's do it.
Just put it in there. Yeah, like a 12-inch version, like if it's 12, like a standard 12, like 76 square inches or around 86 square inches. With a roto sub, higher the RPM it goes, you're going to be like a multiple of like 10 compared to, because it's spinning, how it's spinning and how it's producing how it's connecting with the air. If you say, instead of just one single piston moving back and forth like this, you have all these multiples because they're spinning at all the time. It's cutting through the air and it's actually producing way more energy. So if you had like say two 12-inch versions of these, it'd be like having, like 15 subs, somewhere around that, or more.
Depending on what your blade efficiency is and how fast it's spinning.
Yeah, so faster, and you can't spin it too quick because then you start breaking. Like the blades will cut through the air, and if they go supersonic, you'll start making noise, and you're trying to not make noise. So when the speaker's sitting at idle, the blades are flat; they're not curved like a wing, like how a normal blade would be.
Yeah.
So they just slice through the air like a knife, and then once they start playing, that's when they're kicking back and forth.
Makes sense.
So,
dude, that's crazy. I can't wait to see a big one. Hey,
Oh,
Jeffrey, do you have that center channel piece on hand?
Yeah.
What you got?
Hang on.
This
Need
is
a
some
standard
fancy
channel
stuff.
piece.
This is some real fancy stuff. If you want to do proper 2-seat, that's what you need.
Where do I get that?
Hang on. Can handle that too.
So that's a center channel for a center
It's
channel.
a up mixer. It's a real up mixer.
Yeah.
He'll be able to explain it better.
Describe that to me. Up mixer.
Todd Luliak.
Can somebody smarter than me explain an up mixer?
Yeah, describe that to me. Is it basically taking the two left and right channels and multiplying them, or what is it doing?
So it's basically what it does is it takes. I'm working backwards on the camera here. You've got left and right input from a head unit. Okay.
Yep.
So that's just your standard left and right head unit. And now what this does in here is it has a brick wall cutoff filter where it goes, hey, true discrete left, true discrete right, everything that's common between them in phase, it's going to send to the center. Okay.
Jeff, come back out of the hole and explain that for normal people.
Okay.
No, John's got it, but no one else.
I get it. We used to do a matrix box. I don't know if you've ever heard of matrix wiring, but that's where you go to the two outside channels of an amplifier, and you have two drivers out of phase of each other. And then basically, if one side of the channel, it's opposite of what you're talking about. But if one side of the channel goes negative, the other side goes positive, then it plays the drivers. And that's called matrix. Back in the 70s, you used to have matrix boxes. But this is doing the opposite of that. And it's like a comparator in between.
Yeah. So okay. I'm going to try and be Matt here because Matt's really good at explaining it to everyone, and I'm not. So I'm actually really proud of this thing I just thought up. Okay. So you're sitting in your max tuned vehicle. Okay. And what would be on the left stays on the left. What would be in the center stays in the center. What would be on the right stays on the right. And this box evaluates the audio signal that comes into the left and right, and where it would present on the soundstage, it steers it to the left, right, or center speakers. And then the way that you get left of center and right of center is a combination of left and center and right and center, making your left of center and right of center images.
So what I would say for anybody who maybe doesn't get that either is,
oh, Jesus Christ, man!
It
Come on.
takes
I thought that was good.
Channels
and
basically turns it into 3 or more channels. It analyzes the signal coming in. It does some
comparator.
Spits out 3 channels.
Or more. You said or more.
Or more. In this case, the one Jeff has only does 2 channel to 3 channel.
Okay,
but
good.
There's many OEM like factory up mixers in cars that do more than 3 channel.
So,
but this one's available for aftermarket stuff like we're doing.
When did this product release?
It's still, the early production pieces are being sold right now. This is one of his first 12.
You might have heard a vehicle with this, Bobby. Mark's NASCAR.
Yeah, Mark's NASCAR had one of these.
I don't think it did when we were there.
Yeah, it did. There's 2 of these at Mark's when we were there.
So in Mark's car, Bobby, there was 2 DRCs. and you could switch between the single seat tune and the 2-seat tune, but you had to manually switch.
When that time when I was there with you, Matt?
I think so, yeah.
I don't think so.
So
Well, I know that it got a lot better after that. I know like
he's
it
had
got
one of these in the NASCAR for over a year.
Okay, well then maybe it was in there. But yeah,
I think that when we were there, Bobby, that first time he didn't put a whole lot of emphasis into it because they were still kind of dialing it in, trying to get it right.
he was also playing with something very different. I don't know if you remember, and this was interesting. He had done. Remember, they had two drivers on each side, and he had done something a little funny with the phase alignment on the outside speakers to try to give you the illusion that the soundstage was wider and further away from you, and it seemed very effective at very low levels, which would, I don't know if that was so low that people wouldn't compete with that or not, but it was like when it was pretty quiet and you were like listening to the music and it was like, whoa, it's like way the fuck outside the car. It was really amazing. Had a whole conversation with Colt about it and a couple other guys that I listened to with him. But that was what he described what his primary function was on that at that point and what he had been doing with it. And he was like, it's kind of a little bit of a funny tune in there and it's working really good, but it has some limitations on how far we could take it. And that's what he had described when we were there. And we were talking about it a little bit because he had said, I did some funny things with the phase to create this.
Yeah, basically what he had in there, Bobby, he has the two pairs of mid bass next to each other on the left. Then he has two pairs of mid bass in the center and two pairs of mid bass on the right. And so he has 6 total mid bass, and they're firing basically towards the listener because it's a full custom dash and everything like that. And so what he was doing was he was matching everything, getting everything aligned properly, and then he was playing with the delays on one of the 2 mid bass in the pair to try to basically cause a problem that would result in
the furthest one, just a little. And he said he was having great results with it, but there were some limitations.
Yeah, he was introducing what we would call a problem to try and get a desired sound characteristic.
Yeah, and I saw what he was talking about, and it was working quite well. But where it was limited was when you started getting into the volume a little bit to where, and that thing wasn't loud by any means. It sounded very, very, very good. And when you would try to jam on it a little bit, that tune feature made it not as awesome as it would have been otherwise. But when you did have it down pretty low, it definitely, you close your eyes and it felt like that soundstage was a couple feet in front of the car and 2.5 feet wider than the vehicle, when you were being pretty gentle. So it was interesting.
No, the mixers are not similar to back in the day at all.
I don't know what the ESP32 is, but Audio Control used to make a thing called a spatial restoration unit. And it had a little knob. This isn't the fucking 90s. All it would do is make your shit echo.
Is it like the turbo button on a computer? Just makes it feel like it's louder, faster.
I'm not sure what the Audio Control ESP 2 to 3 is, but if what it did was try to take 2 channels of signal and turn it into 3, it's similar in that aspect. But what Jeff's saying is the way that this one works and the way that it actually extracts the data and filters it is really good, and we haven't seen anything, I think, at this level so far. I think this is a really really
technology just hasn't. It's processing a bunch of information.
It's cool.
This is the direction that a lot of it's going to go. The biggest limitation with this is you have to have preferably equal left, center, and right. So everyone wants to put fat old mid basses and these crazy mid ranges and crazy tweeters and then they think they can just put a 3-inch center channel speaker. No, you need beefy center. It needs to match or be close to it.
So I should also have a 3-inch and a tweeter only in that center channel in my van to match what I have in my pillars.
Do you have the mid bass as well, Bobby, in the center?
I don't, but I'll put one there if I have to.
To clarify,
I mean, I got a fucking Sprinter van. My dash is as big as my desk. I'll be okay. I'll get that motherfucker in there, I promise. Yeah.
To clarify, you can do a 3-inch center channel. What Jeff is referring to is that the results that you'll get from having a larger center channel in there will typically be better.
So Jeff would not eat caviar with his pinky up in my van unless I also have the 6-inch in the dash.
Well, so what? Let me translate what Matt said. What you would have to do is you would have, like, let's just say, higher vocals, and all of that would come from the center, and then your male vocals and everything down low would be a split image. It would be horrible sounding, and that would destroy the convincingness of the soundstage.
Would not be horrible sounding.
I've heard this in a vehicle that is done properly, a purpose-built vehicle, and it's freaking cool. But you have to be able to play like 80 or 90 hertz out of the center.
Okay.
Yeah, so like if you did a sweep from left to right, you would want to hear the same mid range and the mid bass and everything to go boo, and then through the center. You wouldn't want to go boo, hee, woo. You know, you would hear like mid bass disappearing from left to right because it'd be going.
Yeah, you wouldn't hear it disappearing.
Yeah.
You wouldn't hear it disappearing. What you would hear is a cohesive sound image move, and then you would hear the mid and tweet stay in the center and keep moving, but you would hear the mid bass split. You would hear them physically go out to the sides. Then you would hear them come back into coherency as it pans off far enough from the center.
It would throw the image all over the place. Yeah, it'd be a mess.
Let me tell you, Bobby has enough room in that dash. I checked. But that van is it tricked me the first time I heard it, because I left to go drive to Sky High in it, and I was like, man, this is the best center image I've ever heard. Holy shit!